The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ready to prioritize yourself? Your skin is a great place to start. Dime Beauty, founded by a master esthetician, is more than just a skincare company. With 4 skin-conscious categories, skincare, beauty, body care, and fragrance, Dime offers simple, spa-worthy products that will help bring your glow back. Whether you're revitalizing your regimen with nourishing products or building one from scratch, Dime makes it easy. The Work System, our all-in-one best-selling routine, includes a cleanser of your choice, toner, serums, and moisturizers, taking the guesswork out of skincare for your healthiest, happiest skin yet. Dime's commitment to clean ingredients and sustainable packaging ensures every product is as gentle on your skin as it is on the planet. With thousands of glowing 5-star reviews and a loyal community, the results speak for themselves. Revive your skin and give yourself the routine refresh you deserve by visiting dimebeautyco.com. That's dimebeautyco.com. Your best skin awaits.
Hyundai knows the road can feel like it's out to get you sometimes. Potholes lurking around corners, distracted pedestrians stepping out of nowhere, and those nerve-wracking blind spot moments we all dread. That's why they've been revolutionizing safety for nearly 2 decades. With over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006, they're not just talking about safety, they're defining it. Their available class-exclusive features include the available blind spot view monitor that shows you a live video feed of your blind spots, the standard forward collision avoidance assist that can automatically brake in emergencies, and a standard driver attention warning system that helps keep you focused on the road. Because at Hyundai, they put your safety first and everything else second. Learn more about Hyundai at HyundaiUSA.com. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details. IIHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Leaf Girl, Min, Jason, Madeline, Vixen, Holly, Laura, Jeremy with the laser eyes, Allie, Logan, Kristen, Tia, and Jonathan. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group, where we'll be talking about how awesome Sleepy Floyd looked in that jacket daily.
I'm introducing one of my friends into True Blood for the first time, which is the best because she is convinced that Sam Merlot is a serial killer.
Like in real life?
No, like on the show. And we aren't spoiling anything, so we're just like, I don't know. And so watching it through her eyes for the first time, where she's like, that weird shape-shifting motherfucker killing bitches is so fun.
Paige, I also have no idea if he's a serial killer or not.
You'll never know. Unless you finish watching the first season, which I highly recommend. It's like a murder mystery. It's pretty fun. But yeah, she's like, he shifted into a dog. And I was like, you think that's weird?
He's going to murder her doggy style.
We're only like 6 episodes in, bitch. People going to shift into a lot of shit. Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
And I'm your Horror Virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, Paige made us watch, I think, my favorite movie of the year, Freaky Tales! So, Paige, I know the first time you saw this because we saw it together at Panic Fest.
We saw it together at Panic Fest. Do you want me to tell you about how I learned about it?
Yeah.
Because I bought us all the Panic Fest tickets. I was like, I am making sure that we are all here to see this movie.
And I do want to go on the record as saying, Paige was talking about this movie, I think 2 or 3 months before Panic Fest. That we were going to go see it. She was going to make sure we got tickets. So it was honestly great because I had something to look forward to, but knew I had no responsibility to make sure it happened. So it was honestly great. But yeah.
I even got tickets for Armando, who's like, what is this?
I know.
And in the Airbnb, I was like, it's an anthology movie about the songs are too short. And he was like, I'm in. And I was like, let's fucking go.
100%.
So I found out about this largely because I'm in a bunch of like Bay Area filmmaker stuff.
Oh, does this movie have something to do with the Bay Area at all? I didn't realize.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Okay, interesting. I honestly thought it was Portland. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, well, how dare, that's so fucking offensive. Fucking bastards moving into Oakland, getting our neck tattoos. It's fucking, came down here from Oregon a year ago, finally found my home. Bastards. So I submitted my pilot for Baylist, which is like, it's the first year they've ever done it. It is essentially an initiative to find the 10 best unproduced scripts from Bay Area writers.
Yeah, kind of like the Blacklist started as.
In tandem with the Blacklist.
Yeah.
They are working together. So a bunch of different production companies with ties to the Bay, including Ryan Fleck and Anna Boden, who wrote and directed this movie.
Yeah.
And Playtone and a whole bunch of other people.
Yes.
Are supporting and sponsoring the Baylist initiative. And so because of that, I'm in a whole bunch of groups about it. And everyone was buzzing about this movie like 6 months ago. So I had the inside track because the people who made it were like, maybe your script could be the thing. So there you go.
Honestly, they were at the screening we saw, and they answered questions for like an hour. It was like way longer than I expected that they would do it. And I don't say that because I was bored at all.
Sure.
It was just a long time for two people to be standing in front of like people asking questions. They were just very giving of their time. It was awesome.
Well, and I had asked Tim ahead of time. I was like, is there any chance I can meet them? He's like, they're literally here for like 20 minutes. Like they flew in to answer questions and then they were gone.
Yeah.
So I did not get to say hi. Hopefully someday I will.
I would have loved to have met them too, but only because like a very big fan of this movie.
Because this movie fucking slaps.
Yeah. Like I really love this movie. And I have nothing to do with the Bay Area page. I know that you're going to have like a lot of area facts, and please.
Oh yeah, I got so many facts. Yeah.
Please bring them. I'm just not going to understand any of them because I don't live there, but like bring them. And I still love this movie, though. Like, you don't have to be a Bay Area nerd or be from the Bay Area to love this movie. Because essentially, this movie is about killing Nazis.
It's basically about fucking up some Nazis. And like everyone can get behind that.
We all need that in our lives. Yeah, like, that sounds awesome. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Like, the movie starts, and within like 3 minutes of the movie, it like does a oneer that's like amazing, and we'll talk about when we get to it. And that oneer ends on like a thing spray painted on the wall that says Reagan sucks. And I was this movie's for me.
You were like, I'm in.
For sure.
Todd, I'd like to tell you the good news about Oakland. It exists. You can visit anytime you want.
You know what I was thinking when I watched this morning? And this is like a nuts thing to think. But like,
sure,
I was like, wow, there's like a lot of diversity in this movie. And I'm sure that's like that in the city of Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes sense.
Of course.
And like, I think that like you can tell a lot about someone's feelings about other people by how big the town they grew up was.
Oh, yeah.
Is all I'll say, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it diplomatically.
No, that's real. That's real.
But like, because I grew up in Nashville in like a very like poor area, I had a lot of like friends that looked a lot like this.
Right.
In fact, a lot were Kurdish because a lot of them settled here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it was so interesting to me that like I do think that that's why I grew up in the South that I grew up in and ended up this way, and not like the people in the trucks that got beat the fuck up at the end of the movie.
Right.
You know?
Right. They got no excuse. They were also growing up in Oakland. Fuck them.
Yes, no, I agree. I'm just saying. But like, I was just thinking that this morning, like, I bet there is some correlation there. Don't know about the causation, but I bet it is. Anyway, but yeah, this movie was fully for me when I saw that. And that's 3 minutes in. And it is just like so fun and so like stylized. I really love it. And the 1987 green lightning, green glowing eyes, like
love it.
And it looks like it was done in 1987. Like I loved it. It was really fun.
It's really fun. I feel like, because I've now seen it, this is 3 or 4 times. I bought it today. I was like,
I bought it today too, Paige.
I fucking love it. I don't give a shit.
I can rent it for $3.99. No, I'm gonna buy it for $14.99.
Yeah.
But largely because I've already seen it.
Right.
So I knew I loved it. You know, like I knew I wanted to buy it anyway. But if you haven't seen it yet, just buy it. Like if you like hate Reagan, just buy it. Like you're gonna love this movie.
Buy Freaky Tales.
I just really want them to do a release of the Freaky Tales with if you hate Reagan, buy this Todd. They didn't even have to say what podcast this was. Just say Todd.
Just sincerely, Todd.
Or just like common sense. Just like attribute it to
Right.
like your brain. Yeah.
This is not a typical horror movie, I would say.
No.
It's a stretch to call this horror, but we did see it at Panic Fest.
Yes.
And I do want to say I had a real unique experience seeing it at Panic Fest because I was invited to the very, very first screening of this at Grand Lake Theater,
Yeah, but you
which is
couldn't
featured
go.
in the movie.
Yeah.
But I couldn't go
Yeah.
because I was fucking flying to Panic Fest. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, I know at least it's screening at Panic Fest. We'll go see it there. And watching it with an entire group of people who enjoyed it, definitely. Like,
Oh, yeah.
watching this, they fucking loved it. But there were so many things that I was like, oh, they don't even like, there were huge things just going over people's heads that I was like,
Yeah.
they don't realize how legit this is. Like, this is crazy.
I was going to bring this up because I think I benefited from you growing up in the Bay Area.
Yes,
I
yeah.
sat next to you in the theater and you would say things like, Lord's Ice Cream went out of business in 1996 or whatever. Like you were like, those don't even exist anymore. They
don't
must
even
have like
exist
built
anymore.
all of this because that shit doesn't exist anymore.
They built that Lords from scratch, I think, and I was trying to find out where they filmed it. It might have been a soundstage, but one of the last ones I remember seeing was in Castro Valley, which is like where my sister lives.
Yeah.
And it looked a lot like that one.
Yeah.
But that one has been gone for a while, so I don't know. But I'll talk about Lords and their bubblegum ice cream when we get to it, because that was like a thing. That was real. Almost every business you see depicted in this movie is a real business.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are still around.
That's awesome.
So we'll talk about it. If you wanted to do like a tour of movie locations, this is like the best movie for it because a bunch of them are just there. Like you could just go. We'll talk about those. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that like all of the vignettes of this movie are based on real stories.
Yes, they are, which is very cool. And all of them, I think, happened in 87, right? Like,
Yes and
they may
no.
not have happened at the same night or whatever,
Right,
but
right,
like
right,
they all
right,
happened
right.
around that same time.
Around that same time, the first two vignettes in particular are very real stories of very real people.
I know the first fight isn't like that was an actual event that took place. I mean, not event like people set it up and were like they planned it, but like it actually happened, right?
It actually happened, and I have fun facts on it. We'll talk about it more probably at the end so we can like dig into it.
Which that first event, we'll get to it, but it's like a brawl between Nazis and punks.
Yes.
Yeah, which is fucking awesome in the movie.
Yeah. And then the second vignette, Don't Fight the Feeling, about Danger Zone and Too Short, that is very real as well. So we have some facts about that.
Oh, I mean, that's a song. The song they do is actually the song that they recorded in,
Yes.
well, I'm assuming 87. I don't know, but they recorded before that 87.
It's like 88.
Okay.
That one's a little fudgy, but like,
Okay.
But they were already working on it in 87.
Sure.
So we will give it to them.
Yeah, it's around the same time.
And then the middle vignette is almost entirely like that's the one that's not based on a real person, but it is the one that connects all four.
Yeah, it's the Pedro Pascal one. And that one is like so like
Good.
emotionally jarring. Like you see someone go from like super, super happy, married, about to be a dad to like losing everything. And he is like hell bent on like, you better come and kill me or I'm going to kill you kind of vibe. And then he gets a phone call that flips that. And then, it's like such an emotional roller coaster. And he's so good in it. It's amazing.
He's so good in it. It's a little disconcerting for me because I think sometimes like if you're maybe not from the Bay and you're watching that vignette, you're like, well, this could be LA, this could be anywhere. And I'm telling you it's not, because Pedro Pascal is dressed like my Uncle Britt the entire time.
Does your Uncle Britt know he like got his closet raided by Pedro?
I mean, I tried before this to see if I could find pictures from that era, and I could not. The next time I go home, I'll see if I can find some, because it would shock you. You'd be like, is that Pedro Pascal or is that just Paige's Uncle Britt? It's just my uncle, because that's what dudes looked like at the time in the Bay all the time. But then the final vignette about Sleepy Floyd, the playoff game and the scoring is a real story.
Right, and then him being a samurai master and killing a bunch of Nazis, that's also a true story, right? Like that actually happened. Please don't ruin this for me,
100%.
Paige. I want that so badly to be true.
Here's what I'll say, because I was trying to find out, I was like, did the robbery happen that night?
I thought the robbery was all made up, was it not?
I'm here to tell you that people have robbed the Warriors during playoffs multiple times.
So it was made up that it happened maybe that night, but it's happened many times.
It's happened many times. Which I was like, you gotta love Oakland, man.
Well, I mean, I bet that happens in other cities too, but
I'm sure.
because it's like these very wealthy people, you know they're going to be on TV somewhere else, so you know they're not going to be home.
Exactly, like publicly somewhere else.
Yeah, and especially in a time before, it's probably way more common for those people now to have like a security person or whatever.
Right.
And now they have cameras and stuff, so it's way easier. You know, you have like a ring or whatever, yeah.
Right, well, and it's one thing if you were trying to rob the Lakers, right? Because like, you ain't getting near anybody's house. Like, that's fucking Bel Air. There's fucking gates, all of it. But it's like Oakland, and so the closest you get is like Skyline, or maybe somebody lives in Black Hawk out in like Danville or some shit. But like, there's only a handful of gated communities like that. So, you know, maybe more accessible than you would think. At least, especially in the 80s. Especially in the 80s.
Well, I mean, yeah, it happened multiple times, Paige. It sounds like it was very accessible.
It's happened multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes. But do we want to just dive in and talk about this movie? Because we can talk about it forever.
Yeah. Maybe we should just go through this movie scene by scene.
We open on some cool ass credits that first almost look like Tron. And then we get like a Star Wars crawl voiced over by Too Short. And one of my favorite parts about it is that he's like, maybe it was that bright green glow. Damn. Like, he's just like commenting on the crawl.
Well, as we're seeing the stylized cartoonish version of it through the credits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, if you were there, you remember it. No joke. But you're reading the crawl and it doesn't say no joke, where you're like, I think Short was just freestyling on that one.
I don't know if Too Short's any good at freestyling, Paige. I don't know that there's any evidence over the past 40 years that he's been great at doing that. I do love that, like, he's in this movie.
He is in this movie. We will talk about it.
Yeah.
So is Sleepy Floyd and a couple other people. But yeah, he's in this movie.
I didn't realize Superman was in this movie. That's awesome.
I mean, yeah. Number 21, Sleepy Floyd is Superman. But in this crawl, we get the introduction of the green glow and the green lightning and the Psytopics school to harness justice with your mind. That tells us that yes, we are going to be talking about the Bay in 1987, but it is a magical realism version of the Bay in 90%.
This is the way I explained Psytopics to myself. It was, if the Black Panthers started a kind of Scientology, that worked.
That's about as accurate as you could get.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, because I was comparing it to another cult thing, but I think that's more accurate, honestly, to say that it's Scientology.
I actually would struggle to call it a cult.
It's not.
Because it's not centered around one person.
Yeah.
And it actually works.
Yeah.
Like we see him kill many people with it. Like, he explodes the guy at the end. And I know you're like, well, why didn't Todd say his character name? His name is The Guy. That's the
Guy.
He's credited as The Guy.
The Guy. The only man to make a lisp menacing.
He's so good, though.
He's so good in this movie.
Yes.
I feel like Psytopics is just Scientology with rhythm. You feel me?
It's R&B Scientology.
It's like R&B Dianetics.
It's like slow jam clear.
Yes. Yeah. But it is the most Bay Area thing in this movie, weirdly. Like, that's something that would absolutely happen in the Bay, where, like, I remember meeting a dude in college, and he was also from I was like, oh, no shit, where'd you grow up? And we're like talking. He's like, yeah, I went to this school that it's like Christian, but also like astrology and crystals. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like the Bay. Like, yeah, of course. He's like, lots of like mindfulness and astral projection. I was like, sounds like the Bay.
I didn't realize my mom was from the Bay.
Your mom would fit right in, man.
My mom would fit right into the Bay. Yeah.
Your mom would roll up and be like, vibes, and we're like, vibes, bitch, let's go.
Vibes, sister, let's go. And honestly, my mom would love it. But she's in like the Bay of North Carolina, known as Asheville.
Oh,
so like she loves that area too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. Imagine Asheville with like colder weather during the summer. right?
I can imagine this, yes.
Okay. Taller buildings
Right.
and more break-ins to your cars. And then and then you got the bet. You got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to get some magical realism with this movie. We then open on a Psytopics commercial with Sleepy Floyd. Now, if you're on a multiple viewing of this movie where you've seen it multiple times.
You also notice it at the end.
Yes.
Because they sort of show it's not the exact same shot.
Yes.
It's a retake, and they're actually calling he's more like pointing out the characters from the movie.
Right.
But they're also in this shot too. You're right, Paige. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I love that this commercial, and it's, like you could control things with your mind, control your reality. And the girl has like glowing green eyes, and then the TV turns off and no one's watching the TV. It's a vignette. It's a lot like in the beginning of Us.
Yes.
Where we see the Hands Across America commercial. It's a lot like that.
It's exactly that, actually. Yeah. I mean, it's very similar. Obviously, they set up two very different stories, but yeah.
I do think it's, and I bring this up because I stumbled onto this after we saw it at Panic Fest. They list a real phone number, 415-146-0188 for Psytopics. And there is also a Psytopics website. So like they made a fake Psytopics like business website.
I can't wait till ChatGPT starts to think Psytopics is an actual thing.
real.
Yeah. Because that's definitely going to happen.
Same.
I love the dead internet. It's the best.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to control people with my mind. It's going to be so lit.
Oh, and I love that the commercial is very much like, sure, guy, like, whatever. Like, it is very much like, yeah, you can control things with your mind. I mean, that's why I was like, it's very Scientology. It's like way over-promising, like, what you'll actually be able to attain,
But I love, because there's multiple Psytopics commercials in this movie, and they get more crazy as you go.
Yeah.
One of them is like a satisfied customer, like, I love Psytopics. My whole life it's crazy.
Yeah.
But now I just want like a shirt that says Psytopics with the logo.
I would 100% wear that. Yes.
It'd be so lit. Anyway, we cut to our first vignette, Strength in Numbers, the Gilman Strikes Back. We open on Grand Lake Theater in 1987. Now, almost all of the vignettes start at Grand Lake Theater or adjacent with a character that we meet in these scenes.
Yeah. So you said the name of the
Gilman.
Yeah, the Gilman. That's an actual club, right?
That's a real place.
Okay.
Yes.
I actually know a little bit about this because I did a paper once in college on punk versus metal communities.
Oh yeah.
And this came up in my research, I'll just say.
Yeah. So I'll go into it now because we can save some of this for the end, some for now. Doesn't matter. It's our podcast to do what we want. So this is based on the punk collective of 924 Gilman.
Yeah.
It was a club in Berkeley. It's like right on the Berkeley-Oakland border. So essentially, one night they were at an Operation Ivy show. No, that's what it is in the movie. In the movie, it's an Operation Ivy show. The character of Greg, who is essentially their security, or one of the security guys. He's the guy that comes out and says, I've been in 2 fights. So the guy that's been in 2 fights,
okay,
Greg,
yeah,
is based on George Stevens, a.k.a. George Hated, who in 1987 lived in West Oakland and sang in the band The Hated and served as head of security at Gilman. In an interview, and this is, I'm pulling this from KQED, which is a local Bay Area news outlet that did a bunch of like stories on the stories that happened in the movie.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So George Stevens, who is now 57, recalled walking out onto the sidewalk that night and seeing Nando, his friend, who was also working security, lying in the gutter outside the front door. And he said, quote, and there were 3 Nazis standing over him, one holding a bat. So I grabbed the bat out of the guy's hands and hit 3 of them, got Nando up and got him inside. And that normally would have been the end of it. However, just like in this movie, the punks at Gilman who vowed to fight emptied into the street.
Yeah, this is what I remember.
Yeah, including the lead singer of, and they're listed as like a peace punk band, MDC. They were headlining that night.
Not so peaceful that night.
Not so peaceful. And he joined in wielding an aluminum crutch, remember that, because that's in this fucking movie,
That
and
is.
it's fucking lit.
And we actually see where they get that crutch. Like,
Yeah. We see the crutch.
we'll get there though when we get to the actual events of the movie. Right now, it's the real life story.
Real life story. More people came out. It turned into an absolute mess, according to George Stevens.
It was like 100 or so people fighting.
Yes.
Like it was a lot of people fighting.
Yes, including Kamala Parks, who co-founded Gilman and drummed in several bands. But apparently there was at the Gilman a rule of no fighting. It's painted on the walls of the club.
It is.
They were non-violent, but they were like, fuck this, fuck the Nazis, fuck the skinhead violence. And by the end of the brawl outside the Gilman, the punks had won. They'd even chased the Nazis across the street, smashed their pickup trucks,
Yes.
and then sent the skinheads away fleeing. Now, according to Dave Dichter, MDC singer, who wrote about this in his 2016 autobiography, he basically goes back in on stage and sings. He was too numb to be able to change gears and talk about it. We just plowed through the set because adrenaline was so high.
That would be such a wild thing. So you like go
It'd
to
be
a
so
punk show,
nuts.
you're like losing your mind dancing on the floor or whatever.
Right.
Then Nazis come, you go have a fight for 45 minutes with Nazis.
Right.
Destroy their cars, they drive away, you go back in and then just continue going about the business of playing a punk show.
Yeah.
That's such a crazy vibe. That would
So nuts.
best punk show ever, honestly.
Right?
Yes.
So Kamala Parks was kind of on edge for a few weeks afterwards, but the Nazis never came back to Gilman, at least not the way that they had previously. Now, George Stevens also points out, he's like, they never went away for good. Like, occasionally one would wander in, and we do live in America, so it's not surprising that the Proud Boys are back, but they defended their place. Now, when we get to the actual movie, there is a place where even the movie subversively is kind of like, fuck the Nazis. And there's a couple extra pieces of Easter egg that I will share as we go through it. But for right now, we're opening on Grand Lake Theater. And we see our main characters for this vignette come out of the theater having just seen Lost Boys. It's Tina, Lucid, and I forget the other guy's name who doesn't really show up much after this. It's mostly about Tina and Lucid.
Yeah, he is there to establish that they're not dated.
Right.
Which I get thematically because this first vignette's a love story.
Yes.
And I kind of love that. And I don't mean he's not good. He's a fine actor, but it's not his story they're telling. So he quickly goes away and it becomes about our two main characters in this vignette.
Yeah. So they have just seen Lost Boys and they will introduce one of my favorite runners in the movie, which is, so if the grandpa knew there were vampires, why didn't he tell anybody about it?
I love this, and I love that both of the vignettes that start with people walking out of this theater, they're like both talking about that specific moment in Lost Boys. I loved that.
It's so funny. And it's one of those things that, like, I've seen Lost Boys so many times, I've never really thought about that, and now I can't unthink about it. Anyway, so as they're all standing outside the theater, a group of Nazis drives by in a truck and hurls slurs at Barbie and Entice, who we will meet in vignette number 2, and Tina and Lucid as they pass by.
Yeah.
And Tina and Entice, well, it's Entice and Barbie. They're both out there. Yeah. Barbie's the one that yells back.
Well, not yells. It's like a head pop. It's like, I got you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here for you. If they come after you, they're coming after us too, because we're going to be in it.
Right.
You know, it's like that kind of thing.
Fuck the Nazis, basically.
Yeah, more or less. And Barbie's like, same.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that kind of vibe.
Yeah. But our punks take off. They go to Gilman. And they're watching a band perform as Operation Ivy, which I think is really fun. They pulled local Bay bands and had them perform as famous local Bay bands from the time.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Right? Which, like, I don't know if Operation Ivy was super popular at your high school, but at my high school, very popular, even though it was like the throwback stuff of like, I found my parents' old punk records. And that's how Operation Ivy got popular at my school. Because, like, I'm born in 1987.
That did not happen at my school.
Yeah, it was a lot of Operation Ivy and Green Day, because Green Day is also from Oakland.
But everyone got into Green Day.
Everybody got into Green Day, yeah.
Yeah, Green Day, like, took over the world. And what was it? Like, I don't know, the Dookie album. I can't remember. Like, 94 or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're enjoying the show, but this is the oneer that you wanted to mention. Or actually, before we get there, On the drive, they're chatting. We see that Lucid kind of has a crush on Tina, and Tina talks about tailing people for fun. That will come back.
Yeah.
But they go to the show, they go inside Gilman, and this is where we get the oneer that shows us basically the whole of the inside of the club
It's
and then
so
follows
cool.
people through the crowd.
Yeah, so like it starts like outside to show the line getting in the place.
Right.
And we also see our two main characters from this on the phone talking to somebody.
That's the next one.
Oh shit, you're right.
It is, but that is important for next one, yes.
But
yeah.
it's not during the oneer, though. You're right. But when they go in, it goes past the table where you pay and then into the club and then shows the band. And then as it goes in front of the stage, the cameraman trips and falls on its side, and then they pick it back up, and it's still going in this oneer all the way until it gets to two guys playing basketball in the club, and then it kind of zooms in on a mural that's right below that says Reagan sucks, and I was like, I love this place.
Well, and it's also, there's a punk on a big wheeling through the club.
Yeah.
It goes past the wall where it's like no violence, no homophobia, it's very great at establishing like who this group of people is and kind of what they stand for, what they're going to fight for. So, meanwhile, outside, we cut to our security guy talking to a girl, and he's like, yeah, no, I saw that guy from Splash. He sells hot dogs at the A's games, which if you're a local, you know that's Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks grew up in Oakland. He went to high school with all of my high school friends' parents.
Did he actually sell hot dogs at A's games?
Yeah, at the Coliseum.
I wondered if that was true.
That is true. I have a note on hot dogs at A's games, specifically the Coliseum, because we also talk about hot dogs when the Warriors play later. And it would have been in 87, and mostly still is now, Casper's hot dogs, which are unique to the Bay Area. They are made by this one family, Casper Kujulian. He was like the founder, and he had like literally a shack that sold hot dogs in Oakland. And then they expanded it out to a family business. There were two brothers. They got in a fight. So then there were two different kinds of Casper family businesses. And many of them have unfortunately closed because of gentrification, but some of them are still around. And they are one of my favorite things to get back home when I go to the Bay. But you have to differentiate if it's Casper's with a K or Casper's with a C, because those are the two different brothers that got in a weird fight.
That's so funny.
Next, if we ever go to the Bay, I'll take you to Casper's if it's still around.
Yeah, I 100% would go. That's so funny.
But so one of them has to pay the other one to get the hot dogs, because the hot dogs all come from the same place. And they're all beef. They're really good hot dogs.
Sure.
You could buy them at Costco in the Bay or whatever. But those are the ones that are at all the Coliseums and stuff because
Nice.
they're local.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. Anyway, so Nazis show up and kick the girl he's talking to, and punch this guy outside. And as that's happening, as they're dealing with the Nazis outside, another guy runs into the club to try and warn the people running the show. They're like, hey, the Nazis are outside. It's going to be bad. They're coming in. The owner of the club comes out. Or it seems like the de facto guy in charge. It's in real life, it was many people. They've chosen to kind of represent it with this one guy.
Yeah, you can't sort of represent a bunch of people doing the same function in a movie. So they just consolidated it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy comes out and he's like, hey, not tonight. We're just doing a show. We're not bothering anybody. Can you just leave us alone? Right?
Yeah.
And the Nazis are like, no. And they come in and just fuck shit up. They're peeing on amps. They're punching people. Our two, Tina and Lucid, that we're following, Tina gets kicked in the side. Lucid gets punched in the face. It's shitty. It's real shitty.
Yeah, I mean, they're just coming in there beating people up because they're racist, and that's a place where everyone's welcome.
Right.
And so they see it as a threat because they're monsters.
They suck so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we cut to later, either later that night or probably the next day, where Tina and Lucid are icing their injuries in the bathroom at Tina's house. And this is where Tina has this kind of really fun monologue of have you ever dreamed and then realized you were dreaming, but then realized you could do anything in that dream because it's a dream, right?
But we're also getting it's like a cartoon sort of stick figure animated.
An animated overlay.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah. And asks him the same question, but this is also him I like her, but I don't know how to tell her about it.
Oh, yeah, it's very clear he likes her when she's like, what would you do if you were lucid dreaming, more or less, is the question.
Right,
and
right.
you see, a little stick figure him literally crawl out of his ear, jump over to her, and start humping her cheek.
Yes.
I mean, like a very small. It's like a 4-inch version. It's not like his
little
whole
tiny guy.
It's not like weird or sexual even. It's just like he clearly is into it.
Yeah, but before he can really answer more, she gets called to go to dinner from outside, and he is invited along. And I love this scene of her family embracing him and just being like, yeah, no, he's here too. We're all here together. This is a blast, which I do think is one of like the coolest parts of the Bay, is that a lot of different people just kind of end up together and share in just being together, even though we're different. I feel like this little tiny window in this scene really encapsulates that in a great way.
It definitely does. Because I fully believe he is just sitting there like, oh man, I don't speak Korean or whatever, so I have no idea what this is. But I'm glad y'all are having a great time.
So they have a fun dinner together. He can't understand what her dad is saying. It doesn't matter.
At all.
They're all having a good time, enjoying food. It's a blast.
He does look like he's still having a blast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, I wanted to go to this dinner. The food looked incredible, and I wanted to hear what her dad had to say about Eddie Money.
Who doesn't love Eddie Money?
Right? Anyway, we cut to the next day where they are all meeting at Gilman to basically be like, hey, what are we going to fucking do about our Nazi problem? And one guy is like, hey, we could hire Berkeley cops that are off duty to help us patrol.
Yeah, for like $11 an hour or whatever.
For like $11 an hour.
And then a lot of them are like, but those are cops, so no.
Right. Well, but I do like in the movie that they also differentiate. They're like, we know that Berkeley cops are different from Oakland cops, but it's still cops.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is true and very nuanced, but also, yes, still cops. And they basically are like, well, what if we just fight back? And he's like, we're nonviolent. And they're like, it's fucking Nazis, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I do love that they have like a committee meeting at this punk coalition club, and they like vote on whether they're going to fight these Nazis or not.
Right.
And they are like, we get that we're having to go against our ideals to protect ourselves from the violence that they are perpetrating on us. But that's like the only option when it comes to fascism is you have to like be violent back.
Yeah.
Because they will not resort to not violence. They're always going to go there. So you always have to protect yourself.
Yeah, it sucks, but we get an awesome gear up montage.
Yes.
Where we watch them build like blade crutches.
Yeah. Which like we saw the Nazis come and like push that dude down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not again.
No.
But we also see them practicing Psytopics. And we cut to Tina and Lucid at the diner. Now, very important for the rest of the movie, they're sitting at the diner. Pedro Pascal walks past them as they're talking. Remember that. That'll be important later. But also in the diner, we have a couple Easter eggs. First and foremost, remember Kamala Parks that I mentioned, who co-founded 924 Gilman and drummed for several bands.
Is she the lady at the bar eating?
No, but
damn.
her logo is sewn on the back of Tina's jacket for Kamala and the Carnivores.
Nice.
Yeah. So she's the band's namesake, and she does play in a bunch of other bands, but this was specifically to kind of call her out in this scene.
That's cool.
And this vignette. Now, Kamala, her drummer Michelle, and singer Ivy all met with the film crew and actors on set during this vignette, which is pretty fun. So they were very involved. We'll also talk, when we talk about Danger Zone, Danger Zone was also pretty involved, which is very fun.
I mean, the stories feel very grounded in like reality, even though it is very heightened.
Yeah, of course.
So like, that's awesome.
But at the diner, Lucid gives her like a wrist cuff with spikes on it. And you're like, oh, she gonna fuck people up. It's like blades.
They're like 3 inches long in some parts.
Yes, yeah.
So like, yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy. And I love the advice she gets that we don't see until the third vignette, but she uses here in like the next scene, more or less.
Yes, absolutely. Because they're sitting there, Pedro Pascal walks past. We will see him come back in a later vignette where this is extended. Yeah. But we cut to the show that night. And this is where we see them outside on the phone. But while they're talking on the phone, the 2 security guys outside are like, one of them's like, I've never been in a fight.
I love this exchange because the guy who says, I've never been in a fight, the other one's like, you're our head of security.
You're our head of security.
And he was like, I know. I just volunteered because I wanted to see free shows. I didn't think we'd have to do anything.
Yeah.
It was just like a very funny conversation. But this is actually the guy who in real life you were talking about, right? Because it's the guy who's got beat up twice, right?
Got beat up twice, I think, is who they were trying to base on George Stevens.
Yeah.
Because they're in that KQED article, he looks exactly like him.
I mean, it probably is then, yeah.
I'm going to share the screen just for your reaction, because this is going to blow your mind a bit. So this is him.
Damn.
Right? It looks exactly like him.
That looks a lot like that. I mean, older, obviously older.
Definitely older, sure.
But like, yes. I mean,
the vibes are there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the glasses, like everything. Yes.
Everything. Yes.
Crazy.
And
good.
I do love that he's like, the first time I got beat up, I learned a lesson. The second time, it just hurt. Like,
yeah.
It just hurt. But the Nazis show up. They're there for a fight. They say some fucked up slur ass shit, and everyone comes out of 924 Gilman.
Yeah.
And I love that Lucid yells, "Die Nazi scum." And then a Scott Pilgrim ass fight happens.
I love the build up to it because like they're playing a show or whatever. So like someone comes in and gives a sign. I think it's the bass player that sees the sign from the stage and he stops the band and they're like, let's go. It's awesome. But I also love like the Nazis get out of the truck and they're like lining up and like this is when they start like slurring.
Yes.
And then the punk kids line up and it's just like the shot of like all these punk kids like it's like a bunch of like hero shots and they look awesome. They're decked out. They've got weapons. Like if this was set somewhere on the East Coast, you'd see like a 46-year-old Bernie Sanders in leather gear holding a Jose Canseco bat he stole and like ready to fight some Nazis. But it's in the Bay Area, so we get Tom Hanks later.
Right.
I loved it.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I loved it though because the die Nazi scum and then the slingshot or whatever into the guy's eye. Oh.
And it's immediately just like blood pack.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, this is about to be very gory in a great way. And it goes full Scott Pilgrim with your sound and like scene directions on the screen where it's like pow, crack. But then it's also like blood spatter. And I love that blood spatter. We talked about this at Panic Fest. Somebody asked a question about this. But the blood spatter was added after so that it could go outside the frame.
It does.
Of the aspect ratio of the movie.
Yeah, because the aspect ratio of this movie is like what it was in 1987, which is way more like a square.
Like a square, yeah.
Than it currently is. Which is also, like, I get a lot of people don't like that. I think from a stylistic perspective, I loved it.
I think they use it on purpose in this movie, and it definitely works. But yes, this fight is incredible.
Yeah, so this is where we see Tina use the blades on her wrist that her boyfriend gave her, or not quite yet her boyfriend gave her, to like, it looks like it would kill him, but it like slices his neck and like blood shoots out, but he's fine.
Of the lead Nazi, the main Nazi dude, she gets him in the neck.
Yeah, who was at one point beating the shit out of Lucid.
Yeah, but they fight the Nazis back. They leave in their trucks. Everyone cheers and they all go back in and finish the show.
Yeah.
And even though Lucid is missing a tooth.
I loved that.
And Tina is probably covered in some arterial spray. They kiss and we get a wonderful, fun, happy ending to them defending 924 Gilman. And that's the end of vignette 1.
I love the end of this page because as it like closes in around them and this beautiful shot where you see them come together at the club and kiss and the camera goes above them and then sort of floats above them. And then it closes down to like a circle where it's just them.
Right.
And then you see like their stick figures climb out of that. And then those stick figures go to each side of the aspect ratio and push it out to full. And I loved that.
Right, because the next vignette is in full, although the third vignette is not. Which is
I know.
Anyway, vignette number 2, Don't Fight the Feeling. This is where we go back to Grand Lake Theater, which, by the way, Grand Lake Theater has been a theater in Oakland for a long time. It was kind of run down for a while. They've kind of brought it back. So they did like a screening of this that was sold out. And then they did a huge premiere screening of Sinners because Ryan Coogler's from Oakland. And so now it's like the place to go see shit in Oakland. And it makes me very happy to both see it in this movie and see people appreciating it again. So they come out of the theater after just seeing Lost Boys. And again, she's like, but why didn't the grandpa tell anybody?
And then I think it was Entice. It was like, I know it's cold, right? I'd be mad or something like,
Yeah.
Which I would be too. I'd be so mad.
Right. And they say, hey, do you want to go to Giant Burger? Giant Burger will come back. I'll talk about it more when we get back to Giant Burger later. But Giant Burger was one of the reference photos I sent for my pitch deck when the illustrator who was doing the pitch deck for my pilot was doing drawings. And so...
But it also no longer exists, right?
No, it's still there.
Oh, is it?
You can still go to Giant Burger.
I got to get some Giant Burger.
Giant Burger is fucking legit. There's actually multiple Giant Burgers, but they picked the one with the best sign.
Nice.
But that is also the same one that I sent Emma when she was drawing stuff. So anyway, Barbie goes back in because she left her bus pass in the bathroom. While she is inside, the Nazis drive by, or I guess the Nazis drive by before she walks inside. After the Nazis leave, they nod. She goes inside to get her bus pass. While she's inside, Lenny G, who is in another group next to them, turns to talk to Entice and is like, hey, I know you two. I saw you at this open mic. And she's like, there was only like 10 people there. He's like, I was one of them. I was one of them.
I love that.
You should come do this show with Too Short where he's going to do like a battle rap segment. You guys can battle on stage. It would be very fun. He's like, I think you guys are up to it.
Yeah.
And as he's talking about this, Barbie comes out of the bathroom and she's like, hey, this is Lenny G. This is Barbie. He saw us. He wants us to perform for Too Short. And I do love that she's like, shut the fuck up. Tell me more.
Yeah.
And I love this whole, like, no, you're lying, but tell us everything.
It's almost like man, I know you lying, but tell me more about this because I am interested, but like I don't believe this is happening to me right now because this is kind of a big break, I would assume. You know, like
Yes.
I don't know where Danger Zone is at this point in their music careers, but they're both still working at Lord's, so like they're not making money at it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes. Which, speaking of Lord's Ice Cream, we cut to Lord's Ice Cream very next.
Yeah.
Now, I used to go to Lord's Ice Cream all the time as a kid growing up in Fremont. There was one at the Hub. And the thing that I remember most about Lord's Ice Cream, two things.
The ice and the cream.
Actually, three. Okay. One, they used to have heart-shaped chairs. So their chairs were like metal and almost like garden chairs, like a fancy like patio thing where it's like a heart shape, but they were all spray painted pink. They did have blue bubblegum ice cream.
Okay.
You could chew and blow bubbles with the bubblegum in the ice cream.
Gross.
It did not taste great. I ordered it a bunch as a kid, but it's not great. And I don't know if this was a thing at all the other Lords, but I know specifically the Lords near us, they had something called the Super Dave. And it was like one scoop of everything.
What?
And you had to finish it in a certain amount of time. And then you would get a t-shirt that said, I dug the Dave. And it was like the Super Dave at Lord's. And it was like, don't dig the... And people would throw up because of it all the time because it's like, that's way too much ice cream.
Yes. How many flavors did they serve?
Like 30. It was like so many.
That's so many. I couldn't eat 30 scoops of ice cream in a whole ass day.
Lord's was like the equivalent of a Baskin Robbins, essentially. It was like a mom and pop Baskin Robbins. Now, alternately, also at the Hub was McFarland's ice cream that was like owned by a family friend, and they also had the bubblegum ice cream.
Gross.
But they didn't have the Dave, the Super Dave. And I don't know why it was called the Super Dave either. I only remember because I think my aunt tried it one time. I'll have to ask her about it the next time I see her and see if she still has the shirt or whatever. But yeah, I remember that being a thing that adults were doing when I was a kid at Lord's Ice Cream.
Man.
Anyway, they're working at Lord's in its bubblegum pink glory. And who should come in but the guy? And he's played by Ben Mendelsohn, who is absolutely a that guy actor where you're like, oh, that guy. I've seen him in stuff.
In so much as that he's a household name. Like, the dude's he's like the villain in Andor. Like, he's...
Oh, see, I'm not watching Andor, so I don't know that. But I've seen him in other things.
Oh, he's been in tons. Like, a ton of stuff.
A million things. And he's often a cop. I feel like he's a cop 60% of the time.
I don't think you're wrong because in Andor, he's not.
Is
but
he
like
kind of a cop in Andor?
It's like it serves the same purpose, at least in season 1.
There you go. But yeah, again, one of the only men to make a lisp menacing, and he is great and he just like slinks up, and he is both hitting on Barbie, but also being racist. He's being creepy. He's the worst instantly.
Yeah.
And he sucks one of the bubblegum pieces out. It's real gross.
Yeah, well, because the dialogue is something close to this. He's like, hey, can I try the bubblegum flavor? And then she's like, sure. So she gives him a scoop. And then he's like, can you blow bubbles with this? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And he goes, what else can you blow?
Creep.
Which is
Creep.
not, I mean, like, okay, if that was like, you're like dating somebody for a while and you're just like being silly, like that's funny. Not to somebody you just met.
No, no.
Who is at work?
Who is at work? And she's like, I'm gonna get you a scoop of vanilla, you fucking pussy. And he's like, hey, I sometimes have a sweet tooth for the darker stuff. It's inappropriate. It's gross.
Very inappropriate. I do love that she's like, no, you're a vanilla kind of bitch. And he's like, no, I like other things. And then when it comes down to it, he takes that vanilla scoop.
He orders the vanilla.
Yeah, he wants that vanilla scoop.
But I think it's really interesting, too, that a father and child come in, and he's got a hat on that says Jesse Jackson for president, 1984.
Yeah.
And he does nothing to help or stop her intervene at all. So the guy gets his ice cream cone, gets his punch card. He goes back out to the car.
I have to say, the punch card.
That's a real thing.
Oh, I'm sure it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I remember this shit from when I was a kid. But like it's like 10 ice cream cones that are all punched with like a star hole punch, and she punches the last one. But the text on the card says your sweet rewards.
Yes.
And that's going to come back in the best way in the fourth vignette.
Yes. So good. But he goes out to the car where his partner, played by Too Short.
I love that it's Too Short. And then the exchange that they have is so funny to me.
Right.
Because it's so clear that Too Short, like, is either this guy's partner and hates it, or like is just has to be in the car with him that day and is also a cop for like whatever. But like they do not like each other.
They don't like each other. Well, and he's like, where's my Rocky Road? He's like, they were out. And he's like, so you didn't think to ask if I wanted anything else? And he was like, no time. Sorry.
But Too Short's like, damn, you little bitch, or something like that. It's so funny.
To quote Too Short, what's my favorite word? Bitch. Why you got to say it like short? Bitch. So he says it like, he's like, shut up, bitch. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, get him. So they drive off. Meanwhile, the guy and his kid in the ice cream store are like, yeah, can we get some help? And she's like, oh, now you want our help. I was like,
I think she even calls him Jesse Jackson because that's what his hat says.
yes, because that's what his hat says. Anyway, we cut to them on the bus to Sweet Jimmy's to go perform with Too Short. And this is where they have a conversation about like, hey, would you ever go to Psytopics? No, Yolanda went and her eyes and ears bled.
I think she was doing it wrong.
I think someone there really didn't like Yolanda and was doing it right.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. That could definitely be.
Somebody was like, I have harnessed the power of spicy Dianetics and I am going to make it work.
Oh, you mean Spicinetics?
Ooh.
I mean, their eyes do glow in that movie too. So like,
yeah,
it's just not green. It's blue.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Dune.
Oh, I didn't even make the connection. Sorry. I was like, Dianetics doesn't have a movie except for Battlefield Earth and they glow green.
So it was. So I was really right at the beginning then.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Anyway, so they get to the venue and they're like, hey, I think we're on the list. They're like, you're not on the guest list. You're on the artist list.
It's such a dick move, but it's like a really big moment for them. But you're kind of like, God, that's really mean, bouncer guy. Like, what do you? Because he's not like, no, you ain't on the guest list. You on the artist list. He's like, no, you ain't on the list. And it just like leaves it at that for a second. He like it's a pregnant ass pause. He leaves. And then he's like, you're on the artist list.
Boom.
Yeah. Which is like an awesome moment. I've had moments like that in my life and they meant a lot to me. But there are better ways to get that moment. Bouncer guy, don't be a dick.
I liked it because when he's like, you're on the guest list, like he was smiling and excited for them. I was like, yeah, that's what's up.
He was. It's clear he was.
Yeah.
But like, read the room, man.
Anyway, he gives them directions to the green room and it's the door at the end of the hallway. So they go down to what they think is the end of the hallway and open a door.
And they see Too Short has also gone down
a hallway. Yeah. I love that she opens it. He like looks up between that girl's legs and she just closes it and she's like, oh, he's in there. He ain't pussy. So we give him like 10 minutes. I also love the guy they cast to play young Too Short looks so much like Short.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I'm like, where'd you find this guy? Like, he looks exactly like it. It's crazy. Anyway, they eventually find the actual green room, which is further back, and it's like a back bar. Like the Comedy Store is like this too, where they have like a secret bar in the back for people to hang out.
Yeah.
But on the TV in the bar in the back is an interview with Sleepy Floyd at halftime.
Yes.
During the game.
Yeah.
Where they're like, you're scoring a ton of points. He's like, I just want to say hi to my mom and girlfriend at home and thank you to the Psytopics Center. And you're like, oh, nice. And if you've seen this movie more than once, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because,
He's about, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll get there, guys.
We'll get there. They start the show. And Short is like, I feel like battling. They call up Danger Zone. And initially, Entice, played by Normani, which I personally, huge Normani fan, was happy to see her, love her music. But she's initially nervous, and then she gets the green glow. The mic turns green, and they crush it. Now, before we get to the end of the vignette, let's talk about Danger Zone a little bit.
By Kenny Loggins?
No. No, the group, Danger Zone.
No, I know.
So, interestingly enough, and they talked about this at Panic Fest when we saw them, the co-writers and co-directors, Ryan Fleck and Anna Bowden. Ryan grew up in Oakland. Anna Bowden grew up in Massachusetts. And so Ryan grew up listening to Too Short. And Anna talked about this, did not. And she was like, hey, as a grown-up woman, this don't hit the same when you're hearing it for the first time as an adult. And then she stumbled onto the song Don't Fight the Feeling, which is a song from the 1989 album Life Is Too Short, in which Short kind of battles with a female rap duo who insult him, insult his bankroll, poke fun at his bad breath, imply that his dick is small, but he still put it on the album. And so it's this like element of respect of like, I respect your craft, even though it's making me sound not great in this moment. It's worth putting on this album because this shit's fire.
Yeah.
And so for Anna Bowden, she had talked about like, this is where I kind of saw my entry into this story and how we could talk about these women. Because in the movie, their approach to do it for a live show. In real life, they came together in the studio. So in 1987, Tamara Goins, who at the time was known as Entice, who was 15.
She was 15? Jesus.
15.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, only because, like, I've heard the actual song. Like, it's really good.
Yes.
Like, it's almost word
It's
for
really
word.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I believe they re-recorded portions of it, but it is word for word what we see in the movie.
I think the actors in the scenes are actually performing the songs.
Right.
But they're word for word.
Right. So 15-year-old Entice and her cousin, Bailey Brown, who performed as Barbie in Danger Zone, who was not much older than her. And they met Short through female rap pioneer Kimmy Fresh a few years before recording Don't Fight the Feeling. So they're like two teenage girls meeting through like this other lady. And they had even been signed to Short's music label, who released their song Jailbait. Now, Jailbait's a really interesting song because it's a warning to underage girls about older men who will try to date them.
Wild. I love that.
And basically being like, they ain't shit, right? I love it. Here, I've got a picture of them from 1988. So if you want to take a look at that, Todd, just for you for reaction.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they look a lot like they did in the movie.
Yeah, they nailed it pretty close.
Yeah, that's really good casting. Like, it really is. Yeah.
So essentially, Short's manager, Randy Austin, pitched the concept for Don't Fight the Feeling to be included on Short's next full-length album. And the girls were kind of nervous because, like, Short was huge in the battle rap community and just the rap community in general. He already has a following, and they're like, we're still teen girls. We don't know anything. Like, what could he possibly say in this battle scenario? And then they laid it down, and it's incredible. And, like, they essentially came for Short so hard that some of the other men present when they were recording it kept laughing and ruining the take. Basically, like, they are crushing it so good. So he was kind of unprepared for their verses the way the movie depicts it.
Yeah.
But he loved it and like listened to it and was like, this is kind of cool. I'll record and do a bunch of shit about them and it'll be a crazy song. And so he redid his verses and the song ends up being over 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. So it's a Battle of the Sexes song. There's very few things out there like it. But they never performed it live on stage with him,
really?
as depicted in the movie. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Because I love it on stage. Like, I love that what we get in the movie is great.
Yeah. Now, Tamara Goins, who is Entice, and Bailey Brown, who's her cousin Barbie. So Entice and Short have performed it live a couple of times.
Okay.
But Barbie ended up being a dancer for MC Hammer.
What?
Yes, because this is something that you might not know. I think I've told you this. So only a few years after the events of this movie, MC Hammer was huge with Hammer Don't Hurt Him. And it was during that period of time that I was going to elementary school with his kids. And so like, cause he's from the Bay also. So Barbie from Danger Zone toured with him during that time. She now currently lives in Ghana for most of the year, script writing and producing. Tamra, aka Entice, is now 53 and is a talent agent in Los Angeles.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, she actually has performed it as recently as 2011 live.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. She says, quote, sometimes I'll look back at the lyrics and go, oh, I'm a mom now. And then be like, why was my name Entice? Like I was 15. But that's Danger Zone. So they crush it. They do great. And we end on them getting on the bus to go back home, which I love that like
Yes.
they have this huge high of like, this is so crazy. This is so much more famous than we're used to. And then we still got to ride the bus home.
Yeah.
But who is the bus driver but Marshawn Lynch? And then the bus turns green and flies up into the skies.
Awesome.
Awesome. Great ending. They will come back though. They'll come back in a later vignette.
Oh, yeah, they didn't die that night.
No. I'm just,
The bus into the skies, I thought, was just to remind us of the magical realism that takes place in the movie, because honestly, there isn't much of it in this vignette except for her like glowing the microphone.
Right. Although they will interact with more of the magical realism later.
Oh, yeah.
We just haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So, vignette number 3, Born to Mac.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite vignette.
It's my favorite too, but it's an emotional roller coaster.
It is. This is, a lot of people have compared this and called it like a Bay Area Pulp Fiction. And this vignette is what they're talking about when they're saying that. Because this feels the most Tarantino-esque.
It definitely does.
Of the 4 vignettes.
Yeah.
In many, many, many ways. So if you are a Pulp Fiction fan, this is the part of the movie where you'll be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
So we open back in that shorter aspect ratio with Pedro Pascal in a phone booth, receiving news that his wife did not survive.
Yeah.
She is dead. He goes to the car. He sits down in the driver's seat, and in the passenger seat, we see a big blood stain. We cut immediately to a flashback of his wife sitting there 24 hours previous.
Yeah.
And they're sitting outside of a video store. This is a real video store that still exists.
Really?
Yes, it's late night video. And it's also next to Jasmine African Hair Braiding, which is also a real place that exists. Now, late night video has had to change a little bit over the years. So the store front where they put the video store was a shoe store. It's right next to Jasmine Hair Braiding. And you can also see a nearby sex shop called Feel More Adult Gallery, which did not exist in 1987, but does make it into the background.
Nice.
Now, the thing most important about this scene, once we get into it, because he goes into the late night video, they talk a little bit about what they're going to rent beforehand. She wants Sid and Nancy. He wants other stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically, he wants the money pit because that guy used to sell hot dogs at the Coliseum.
Well, and specifically, he used to shake him down in the parking lot.
He mugged him once.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
He mugged him once.
But so he goes into the video store, and who should be there but Tom Hanks, who did work as a concession vendor at the Coliseum when he was 14 years old. And he goes on a Tarantino-esque monologue about the 5 best underdog movies and what it means to be an underdog. This is one of my favorite speeches in the movie.
It's great.
It's really great. And it's Tom Hanks. How could it not be great?
Right. I do like his monologue, and he mentions, like, I think the list is Rocky was 5, Hoosiers was 4,
Right.
The Dirty Dozen was 3, The Verdict was 2, and then he doesn't finish what 1 is.
Right.
And then we never officially get the answer, but do you remember what it was? I remember because the director's answer.
I was trying to think of it. I know they answered it at the live screening. I did not remember what the answer was, but I'm guessing did.
Yeah, it was the movie Breaking Away from 1979.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is a working class Indiana teen obsessed with the Italian cycling team vies for the affection of a young college girl while searching for life goals with his friends.
Aw.
Never seen it, but Dennis Quaid's in it.
I mean, young Dennis Quaid too, so.
Oh yeah, it came out in 79. I think the thing that gives it away is that Tom Hanks does say it came out in 79, and he references the
review.
Yeah, which I think is also the actual review.
It is, yeah. So Tom Hanks gives him the rundown of underdog movies, but we reveal that he's actually there for a job. And so he pays $500 to receive a set of chips for the secret poker game in the back. I do love that he enters through the adult video section and it just opens into the poker game.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately has to extract some money from a dude who keeps losing.
I do like that we walk in and we see Pedro Pascal sort of like walking behind him and this guy playing cards, and he's being sort of an asshole, and he loses the hand. And that's when Pedro is like, okay, you owe me money. And he's like, bro, why didn't you stop me? I just lost the money. I could have given it to, and then he has to like ask the guy who like he was being a dick to across the table who won his money. He's like, hey man, can you give me that money back? And I'll pay you back. But like, and then Pedro's like, he won't pay you back. You'll have to hire someone like me to like shake him down for it. It's a dirty business. You don't want to get involved in all that. And so the guy is like, no, I'm not going to lend you the money. It's a very funny and well written scene. I love it.
It is. I do also love that he offers him playoff tickets, even though we know that the Lakers have been beating the Warriors for like 3 games straight. It's literally what the underdog speech was just about.
Yes.
So he's like, no, these are like courtside. They're worth so much money. And he's like, are they? How much will you give me for them? And the other guy across the table is like, $250. Like he undercuts him just because he knows.
Well, and also like not that this matters a terrible amount to the whole story, but like the Lakers were up 3 games to none, and they are playing a game. Like the tickets aren't worthless,
right?
Because you can go see this final game probably where your team that you love is about to get beat, and the Lakers are going to win the national championship, which actually does end up happening. But I bet the people who went to this game lost their minds.
Oh, yeah.
Because they actually, like, the Warriors pulled it out, they didn't get swept. So, like, I love this conversation, though, because he's like, I don't know that they are worth that much, man. Like, yeah.
Right. Well, and in part, it's the underdogs are kind of the heroes of this whole movie.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've got the punks that triumph over the Nazis. We've got Danger Zone that does better than anyone thinks they will. We've got this vignette that is about to unfold. And then we have Sleepy Floyd, who no one thought would do well that night and has the night of his life in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I do feel like Oakland in general feels like an underdog sometimes, because it's like, it's not the city everyone remembers from the Bay, but it is famous in its own way. Everyone remembers San Francisco. Everyone remembers Los Angeles. And I feel like Oakland is constantly having to assert its own identity and be like, remember us too.
Yeah, I think when most people think of that area, they think of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And Oakland is like literally across the thing. Like we're like right here, guys,
Yeah, we're right here. And also, and as someone who grew up there, some people grew up in San Francisco proper, but not many. Most people who grew up in the Bay grew up townside in Oakland.
I'm sure, yeah.
Or like the adjoining suburbs of Oakland. Anyway, so he unfortunately does take the tickets, but then also breaks that guy's finger.
He has to.
Then he comes out afterwards and is about to ask Tom Hanks, like, hey, what's the last movie? But Tom Hanks is gone. It's just a young guy who's like, wait, who are you talking about? He's like, yeah, the old dude. And he's like, what? And he's like, I think he's the owner. Sir, you're the owner. You've always been the owner. Very Shining. And then he just goes, nah, I'm kidding. That was Hank. He's on his break. Anyway, what can I help you with?
Yeah.
Which is great. And we also see over Pedro Pascal's shoulder someone who's been watching his wife from the car, watching Pedro Pascal go into the video store, and his eyes glow green.
And it looks like he's really trying so hard to shit his pants. Like he's focusing so hard.
He's got a lot of emotions. He's real angry. I viewed it as like he's psyching himself up to kill Pedro Pascal, which ultimately,
Oh, I don't think that's what it is. I think he's trying to skin pop him like Sleepy does at the end.
Oh, yeah. To just like explode him into a pink mist.
Yes.
For sure. But so he's like looking at Pedro Pascal, and Pedro Pascal's nose starts to bleed, and you're like, Psytopics.
Exactly. That's why I was like, oh, he's trying to pop that head.
But Pedro Pascal goes out to the car. Turns out he bought Sid and Nancy for $90 because back in the day, if you were going to buy a video store's copy of something, it cost like $90.
Or if you, quote, lost it.
Yeah, or if you lost it. Yep.
Yeah.
But so they're talking about movies. They're excited to go home and watch it. But they look up to see that guy from the video store pointing a gun at Pedro Pascal.
Not Tom Hanks.
Not Tom Hanks.
The guy who was staring at him intently.
The guy who was staring with the green eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you killed my dad. And we get a flashback of Pedro Pascal basically beating his dad to death, probably because he owed somebody money.
Yeah, which I thought it was kind of funny because he starts off by saying, do you recognize me? And Pedro's like, no. Which to me is the most like M. Bison thing I've ever seen Pedro Pascal do. Because he was like,
right,
bro, for you, it was the day your dad died. For me, it was a Tuesday. It was like that.
Right.
In like one word reply. It was amazing.
Yes. But he tries to be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not that guy anymore. Like, I'm retired or whatever. He's like, I don't give a fuck. And we hear a gun go off, but it turns out to be his wife.
Well, it's both of them.
It's both of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Because he shot and nailed his wife in the belly. She shot and got him, I think, in the leg.
I think it's his side. But
or the hip.
Yeah, really close to the hip.
Yeah.
Because he's fine. He is not, I mean, he is shot, but he's not like, oh my God, he's going to die.
Right, right. So Pedro Pascal immediately rushes her to the hospital. That guy, as we see the car drive away in the street, we see the shooter get up, so he lives. But Pedro Pascal, we then cut to present day where he's now about to, unfortunately, shoot himself because he believes that he knows his wife is dead and believes that the baby is dead too, because how could it have survived, right?
I mean, and it is her stomach that is shot. And I think it's fair to think the worst, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the midst of this, a kid comes up to sell him essentially an East Bay mixtape. And honestly, I fucking want this mixtape.
I love that this mixtape saves his life, Paige.
Yeah.
Because he was about to shoot himself. Like the gun was at his head. When the kid comes up and knocks on the door, he like has to like hide it.
Right.
By kind of like dropping it down close to his body so as to not reveal it to the child trying to sell mixtapes.
Well, and ultimately he trades those tickets to the kid, which I love.
I love that we see the kids selling them later too. Like that kid made a shitload on that one mixtape.
Absolutely. But Pedro Pascal, after, getting the mixtape, he goes into the diner, passes by Lucid and Tina, and then sits down at a table with a dude who gives very Nazi energy. And he's basically like, here's your payment for the job you just did. And he's like, this is not enough.
He's like, this is light, is what he says.
This is light.
Which I like that he says that and then lights it on fire.
Yeah, well, and he's basically like, yeah, we got one more job for you. You got to do the warrior thing. He's like, I ain't fucking doing it. Go fuck yourself. This is my last one.
And he doesn't say warrior, but he says it's a basketball thing. Like he does say too much, which comes back later.
He does say warrior thing in this scene. I only know because I wrote it down as it was happening.
I know he mentions the basketball then too. So it's like,
yeah.
And I'm just saying that like they do like
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Enough so that the kids who are in this diner too overhear it, because as we see Pedro walk in, he does walk past the kids in that same diner we saw them in the first vignette.
Right. Right. And so he's like, I ain't doing that shit. And the guy's like, then the guy's going to come after everything you have. And he's like, I don't fucking have anything left.
I love this like monologue. He's like, my parents died when I was 15. I've been alone since then. My wife was just murdered yesterday. I don't have anything left.
Right.
Tell him to come get me. I was like, oh my God. Like this guy is, I wouldn't say, I don't think he's any longer suicidal, but I do think he wants to die.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He wants to go down killing somebody, I think, is how he feels in this moment.
Yes.
And he is like, let's go. Like, tell him to come find me.
Yes.
And I just like love that switch. Like that Nazi walked in there feeling like he had all the power in that. And the flip of him burning the money that he was paid and then being like, come fucking get me. I would be like, I gotta go change my pants and then call this Nazi boss or whatever.
Yes.
Because that would be the scariest shit I've ever seen.
Oh, God. But as he leaves the diner, because he's like, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
He gets up and leaves. He passes Tina and Lucid again. And this is where he says, like, who's this for the wristband? And she just goes, Nazis, and he's like,
Aim for the neck.
It's fucking lit.
Which is awesome. Especially knowing that, like, I don't think he is a Nazi. I think they pay him to beat up people for them.
Sure.
And he hates working for them. And so that's why there was so much animosity between the guy who paid him and Pedro.
Right.
And so, like, that's why when she said it was Nazis, he was like, good, fuck them.
Yeah.
Kill them all in the neck.
Yes. Yeah. But he goes to leave. The cops find him and literally like block off his exit for the driveway to this parking lot.
Yeah.
Because as we will find out, the guy is Ben Mendelsohn. He's the cop. So like the cops are in on it too, right? So they take him in. He has this great monologue in the backseat of this car where he's like, every underdog wants to believe they can triumph, and this underdog has had its last day. I'm going to die today.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We get to the police station. The guy is there. There's a phone call. He hands it to Pedro Pascal. Turns out your baby is alive and kicking. And he then has to go into the lineup to identify the guy who shot his wife.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he chooses not to identify him.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm going to pick another day to die. Like, I'm going to go get my daughter. We're going to have a life. I'm going to let this guy go and call us even.
Yes. I think it is very much like he feels like he owes this kid like a life, kind of.
Right.
And so he's like, I don't recognize that guy.
Yeah. So he leaves, or we would assume he leaves to go pick up his daughter. We will find out other things happen. But that is the end of vignette 3.
Yeah.
Which brings us to vignette 4, The Legend of Sleepy Floyd.
I think this is the most badass
Yes.
vignette.
Yes.
There's so much in this shit I love, including a hand through the chest and the most justifiable reason for doing it.
So good. Because we cut to the guy's house. Turns out it is also the Nazi's house because his son is the Nazi, and they're just getting fucking jacked up on coke. But here's my favorite Easter egg for this movie. So as the skinheads are getting ready to go out in the town, there's a song playing in the background, and it sounds a lot like the Nazi punk band Screwdriver. But it's not Screwdriver. It's actually Jew Driver, a parody band from Oakland that wrote Jewish-themed lyrics to Screwdriver's racist songs. So Nazis get beat up and denied sync royalty.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
I loved that. I was like...
That is perfect. It really is. Like, I love that.
Yes, incredible. But meanwhile, the guy is talking through their plan to rob the Warriors while the playoff game is happening with Angus Cloud, R.I.P., and another dude.
Yeah, and Angus Cloud's character does kill someone in a second. We don't see it on screen, but
sure.
I kind of love his character because he's like such a type A criminal.
Yes.
And you sort of love it. Like, he has done so much research on every player of the team that, like, even the guy is like, bro, I need to know stuff that's pertinent to the crime we are about to perpetrate. I don't need to know, like, what round they went in the thing or, like, how many points they scored in high school. Like, the guy's going real deep on fun facts.
But as they're talking, his son pops in and he's like, hey, where are you guys going tonight? And he's like, to beat up some F-slurs. And he's like, cool, good kids, fine people.
Yeah.
It's just awful, but gives him the keys to the car. So at this point, we're like, he's got to die. Kids, everybody's got to die. Fuck the Nazis. Let's fucking go, right?
Yeah.
But he continues with Angus Cloud, which is how they find out that Sleepy Floyd has a whole collection of Asian art as opposed to having spent his NBA winnings on, like, drugs, booze, partying, whatever. He has a collection from Christie's.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to go get that guy, even though... like, they're going to get Sleepy Floyd and 8 other guys. So 8 different crews, including robbing a gold medalist, and they steal his gold medal.
Well, okay, so the reason they point that out is because in the scene, to make the guy seem even more racist, because the guy with the gold medal was the guy he was like the only white guy on the team. Like, he's like, all right, well, don't rob him.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. But they end up actually doing it anyway because, you know, Nazis, whatever.
They do it anyway. And not only do they take his gold medal, another guy kills another player's dog.
That guy will come back in the most justifiable reason to punch through a chest.
Yep. And they found the vault.
Yes.
And they're trying to drill into it. Meanwhile, back at the Coliseum, Sleepy Floyd's mom and girlfriend decide to leave the game early because she's not feeling well because she ate Casper's hot dogs and probably just ate too many Casper's hot dogs because they're delicious.
They literally say that. They're like, listen, it's not because Casper's hot dogs aren't amazing. It's because she had recently just started reintroducing meat back into her diet. And so, like, maybe 2 hot dogs was 1 too many. Because, like, they're really trying to point out that, like, Casper's are great.
It's delicious.
It's really the mom's fault that she got the shits and had to go back to the house and get Sleepy Floyd's girlfriend murdered, kind of. It's not her fault by any means, but that's what happens. And I do think she gets shot, too. I think, like...
She passes out.
Okay.
So the brother gets shot and survives.
Yes.
The girlfriend dies.
Yeah.
And then his mom passes out from shock. But people are dead. It's bad. And Angus Cloud and the other guy run. They leave.
Man, that's so sad. Imagine, like, waking up.
Yeah.
Just seeing, like, your one son shot, the other son girlfriend dead.
Yes.
And shit in your pants because you passed out before you got to the bathroom.
Oh, no. I like to think she got there and then passed out. Anyway. So, meanwhile, Sleepy Floyd is scoring 51 points. Incredible. And that's real.
That's real, right?
That actually happened.
Yeah, he scored like 27 points in 1 quarter. It was like an insane amount of points. Yeah.
Crazy.
Playing like a man possessed, they said.
Possessed by what? The green glow?
It was definitely the glow. We see it, Paige.
We see it. So as he's leaving the Coliseum, everyone's excited. He then goes to Giant Burgers where he runs into Short and Danger Zone. And it is the very cool Giant Burger sign. And it's delicious, by the way. If you have a chance, go to Giant Burger.
We got to go, Paige. We got to go. But I love that, like, I think it's Lenny G who's like doing a little bit of voiceover, or is it Too Short?
No, it's Too Short.
Is it Too
Short's doing
Yeah.
the voiceover.
So like Too Short's doing this voiceover where he's like, I tried to buy Floyd his burgers that night, but he had already bought everybody's. Like,
Yes.
It was like, everyone was like, it turned into a low-key riot. Like, and it's just like people having a good time, you know?
Yeah.
But like, listen, if somebody famous turned up to like, I guess the closest version of that I have close to me is like a Sonic, which is, I know, not as good, but like still, if somebody showed up and was like buying burgers and like throwing burgers out like they were the Oprah of burgers, I'd be here for it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sleepy gets home and the cops are already there. His mom and brother have been taken to the hospital, and his college roommate and his sister are now with him basically at the house.
Yeah.
Which would be a crime scene. I don't think you'd be able to stay there, but for some reason, he gets to stay there. And the guy whose gold medal got stolen calls him.
I actually like that he calls him because it's very clear that the guy who calls him is like ready to fuck up whoever did this to Floyd.
Right, yeah.
Which I liked because the Nazis sort of singled him out as like, let's not do anything bad to him.
Right.
Because he might be one of us or whatever. And it's very clear that they didn't want to imply at all that he was on the Nazi side.
Right.
So we get like him calling and being like, I'm ready. We are ready to back you up with whatever.
Yes.
And the message doesn't get through to Floyd because if the whole Warriors showed up and killed Nazis, I would be here for that too.
Oh, so much.
Like the whole team.
So much. But also he gets a phone call from the punk kids outside who are like, we know who did this.
Yeah. We overheard it. And just like they did it just like as a lark or like as like a fun thing to do. They tailed him.
Yeah.
Because like it's fun or whatever Tina says.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They tailed him, so they know the address. And Floyd just goes, I think I'm going to go to sleep now. And then he goes to the vault full of swords.
I love how he thanks them for being there. His college friend and sister.
And college roommate, yeah.
And he's like, thank you both for being here. I have to go to bed now. He says it in a way that like, this man is going to murder people. He is certainly not going to bed. Like that's what Batman says to Alfred before he slides down the bat pole. Like that's what that vibe is.
Well, and I've been thinking about this ever since I saw it, where I feel like you could interpret this one of 2 ways. One, that he astral projected.
Oh, Paige, that's how I read it. Yes, I read it like he was Luke Skywalker in one of the terrible new Jedi movies.
There's only one piece that doesn't support that, and it's right here, because he gears up.
He does.
And then walks out into the kitchen where his college roommate and sister are still sitting there, and they just nod like, fuck yeah, go fuck him up, bro.
They know.
They know. And we see him on a motorcycle, green glow all over town. Could be an astral projection. I do think that's more fun if it is.
I actually really like the shots of him riding the motorcycle there and then back at the end.
Over the Bay Bridge and everything.
It's so cool. But like, So I prefer it not astrally projected, but
Sure.
I gotta get that jacket he's wearing.
Oh, yeah.
As he like rides the motorcycle, that leather like duster thing was awesome.
And then under it, his Warriors trainer jacket that just says Warrior across
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Fucking awesome.
It is.
I do like that as he drives past Grand Lake Theater, it says Creep Show 2 starts next week, which of course is also a vignette-based movie.
Yeah.
But he rolls up on the Nazi house and they're like, "You lost, boy?" And he stabs that guy in the stomach and then cuts the other dude's arm off. And he like smokes a little more crack and then passes out.
Yeah.
As For Whom the Bell Tolls plays.
Yeah.
Fucking lit.
Yeah.
I love that there's a guy getting a Stars and Bars tattoo in the kitchen, and then the dude tattooing him gets killed, and it just splashes blood across the tattoo, and then Sleepy Floyd just stabs down into the tattoo. Fuck yes.
Well, and then gets up and like fights that guy in like hand-to-hand combat in the kitchen, one of which is like,
Yes.
he blocks the thing and then uses the cupboard door to like smack the dude in the face. It's like a really cool choreographed fight. Honestly, this whole fight is awesome.
It is, and the soundtrack, because there's like 3 or 4 songs that play through this killing montage.
This one's awesome though.
But this one's nope.
Yep.
Nope. And it's like timed to him getting
It
hit
is.
with cabinets.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, and also like Floyd blocking him, because the first one, like when he says nope,
Yeah.
is like Floyd has just blocked the guy who was trying to
Yep.
fight him, and then he hits him with the cabinet and then punches him, and he goes, "Yep." It's like
Yep.
perfectly timed. It's so funny. Yeah,
That's so good. And he essentially is a one-man fucking killing machine. He's dismembering and murdering Nazis at a rate that we can't even like list them all in this. It's incredible.
it's so good.
He's throwing knives. At
Yeah.
one point, it changes to like, "Don't you stop this. Don't you stop it." And I was like, man, I want this soundtrack. I want to watch this dude slash Nazis forever.
It's awesome.
This is fucking great.
Yeah.
Then we get to the guy that killed one of the players' dogs.
Yeah.
And they like square off in a hallway, and Sleepy Floyd just punches through that guy's torso.
It's the quickest fight ever.
It's the quickest fight ever outside of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which they do mention in this movie,
do.
where he just shoots that guy.
And this is very much that same kind of beat, though, right? Because there is
Yes,
a little bit
yes.
of build-up. In fact, they even show us the dog again. They like flashback to it.
With the like, "Arf!"
Yeah, just so like they're like, the movie's like, something bad's about to happen to this guy, but please remember, this is the guy that killed the dog. So like,
killed the dog?
It's okay. It's okay that this happens.
It's totally fine.
He's like one of the worst kinds of Nazis, I guess.
Oh, yeah, hates people and,
And
kills
dogs.
dogs.
Yeah.
No.
What?
No. Not today, sir. But he passes by that guy because he literally just like punches through him, lets the corpse fall, keeps
Yeah.
going.
I mean, what is he gonna do? Walk around with him on his arm like a donut?
Nope. I mean, that would have been lit though. But
It's like that movie in is it Wanted where
oh no, it's Demon Knight where he punches through that guy and then has the helmet and is like
oh yeah.
punching with the helmet.
I forgot about that one. The one I was thinking about, I think it is Wanted, where he like shoots the guy in the face and then pushes the gun into his eye socket.
Oh, and then
and
shoots.
shoots people through him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he then enters into like a black light attic room because this house is massive, right?
Yes.
And one of the guys that basically Angus Cloud's partner is like, "Oh man, nice outfit. And if your girl had just stayed in her seat and watched her man play the game of his life, that outfit would be mine and she would still be yours." And Sleepy Floyd don't take kindly to that because like, why the fuck should he?
Right.
And immediately decapitates that man into a snake terrarium.
Yes. Yeah.
And then grabs that head and takes it with him because Angus Cloud runs back into the room where Ben Mendelsohn was like planning this whole thing, who is now holding a baby, and Pedro Pascal is beaten up.
Yes.
So we have to assume that they went and got the baby, and now he's holding Pedro Pascal hostage for not participating in this robbery.
Yes. That would be my assumption too.
Right. And Angus Cloud pops in and says my favorite line of the movie and just goes, hey, Floyd's out there slicing people up with a sword.
And then the guy is like, "I'm sorry, what? Are you telling me that this?" He's like, yeah, I'm telling Floyd is out there slicing up people with a sword. He's like, "Oh, well, why don't we go out there and shoot him then?"
Right.
And then they have this like whole like conversation, and then like he gives him a gun and like, Oh, the conversation is, I got rid of my gun. You told me to throw it in the bay. And he goes,
Right.
And that was sound legal advice. Which I thought was very funny.
Legally, that was the best thing you could have done.
Yeah. And then he does give him a pistol, but by the time they are done having this conversation and go to open the door to go get Floyd is there holding like the number 3 guy in his hand.
Right.
And then it's like, it's over for both of them pretty quickly.
Yeah, because he sends him out there with a gun. He's like, go shoot Floyd. Floyd instantly gets him in the head with an axe.
Yeah.
Killing him instantly.
Like right after he opens the door.
Yes.
Like he opens the door, Floyd with the head in his hand is revealed, and then smack with the axe.
And it's right after Ben Mendelsohn says, let's teach this clown how to juggle.
Yeah. Which is, I honestly
great.
loved that, like from an 80s like cliche perspective. I thought it was very funny.
Yes. But at this point, the door shuts because he like axes Angus Cloud, pushes him in, the door closes.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what do we do now? And so the guy shoots through the door, but Sleepy is gone. So he walks out into the hallway and he's walking through just puddles of blood.
And piles of bodies. Yeah.
Piles of bodies. And he's just like, you ruined my party. And Sleepy's just there meditating or astral projecting. Who's to say?
This is where it's the most astral projecty, because he is just like sitting on the ground, very much like you would like in a meditative state.
Right. And Ben Mendelsohn goes to shoot him and he can't. He like drops the gun. His hands don't work. And then he like contorts because it's obvious that Sleepy is just going to explode him with his mind. And that's exactly what happens. He turns into a fucking pink mist.
It's like Scanners.
Yes, exactly like Scanners, which is referenced earlier in the movie.
It is, yeah.
Which is great. And Pedro Pascal gets free, gets his baby, grabs the axe, and walks outside just as the Nazis pull up after getting their asses kicked at Gilman.
Yeah.
And the head Nazi kid is like, what happened? He's like, I think your dad fucked with the wrong warrior. And then Pedro Pascal leaves.
Which is awesome because from the kid Nazis' perspectives that just got beat up in the first vignette,
right?
They're just opening a door to a guy holding a baby and an axe and a house full of dead Nazis.
Right.
So they got to be like, did this guy kill everybody holding a baby? Like,
right.
It's got to be the craziest thing they've seen ever.
And he walks in and on the wall written in blood, it just says Sleepy Floyd is Superman number 21.
Yeah.
We cut to Sleepy Floyd driving back down the Bay Bridge.
It's the coolest shot in the movie, in my opinion,
So
because it's
cool.
just like trailing him on his motorcycle as he goes over the Bay Bridge, which is at night. So it's like lit up and it's beautiful, man. I love that shot.
And I was trying to look, I couldn't quite tell, but I think it's the old Bay Bridge. So I think they had to like superimpose.
They would have had to, right?
They just recently redone. Yeah. But we get a Psytopics commercial.
Yes. And this is the one, it's like the bookend of the first one we saw.
Right.
But in this one, Sleepy Floyd is like touching even or like pointing at people from the actual like movie.
Right. Because now you're like, oh, all these characters do eventually end up doing Psytopics.
Yeah.
But then he ends it with like, and if you're a racist ass Nazi, come here and get your mind blown. And you're like, oh, shit. And that's the movie before the 2 pre-credit scene or mid-credit scenes. Because one is kind of like a fun blooper with Tom Hanks being like, yeah, we got Raiders of the Lost Ark, but rewind it next time. Fuck you. Like,
yeah.
And then we have a music video from Danger Zone, or rather Normani and Dominique Thorne as Danger Zone singing and doing their own music video with a bunch of other people from the movie kind of in it.
Yeah. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you think about Freaky Tales?
Ooh, I loved it. It was great.
It is great. I like it a lot. I bought it. I will watch it a lot more. My mom was in town for it's Mother's Day, and like we're just seeing my mom.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, you got to see this movie. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Because like it's about killing Nazis, and who doesn't like that?
Yeah.
But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, it is with your fun facts.
Freaky Tales, fun facts. So we'll go through a bunch. There are some on IMDb, but there's a lot more. KQED did 2 articles. One is the 27 best Freaky Tales Easter eggs and cameos for Oakland locals. Definitely recommend that one. And then we've already pulled from Freaky Tales is based on these true stories, also by KQED. So look either of those up if you want to know more. So we covered a lot in the movie.
We did, yeah.
So we'll just touch on a few. So the character of Tina can be seen wearing a Bitch Fight t-shirt, which is an all-woman punk band who moved from Tuolumne to the Bay Area in 1987. Their drummer, Michelle Cruz Gonzalez, would later join Kamala and the Carnivores, which is Kamala Parks' band, and later would drum for Spitboy and write a memoir. So there's a lot of memoirs about 924 Gilman and that fight specifically with the Nazis.
There was like a lot of news coverage of it. That's where I saw it for the thing I wrote.
Yeah. Now, the El Cerrito Hills is where the Nazi houses are. That's actually in Southern California. It's supposed to be Skyline in Oakland, but the house where filming took place is actually in the hills of El Cerrito, because that's where I think they could get the filming permits to do what they needed to do. So Giant Burger, the one that they go to specifically, is the one at Diamond and MacArthur. It's the after-hours meetup spot where they celebrate the playoff game, but it is specifically a thing for pro athletes from the town. So if you are a pro athlete from Oakland playing in Oakland, which is not a ton of people these days because a lot of our teams have kind of moved away and it's shitty. But for a lot of locals who then go pro, they celebrate at Quarter Pound Giant Burger.
Nice.
If you are curious. Gulch, which is a Santa Cruz hardcore band and now broken up, portrays the leading band at Gilman after the Nazi brawl. As we mentioned, the original fight, the band that played after the original fight was MDC. They're credited in the movie as 924 Gilman Band, but they're shown playing songs by Black Flag and Negative Approach. So Lord's Ice Cream Parlor. I did find the location. Yes. Okay.
Nice. Okay, great.
There are other Lord's locations. Most of them no longer around. But the film crew restored the classic look of the one on the Diamond location on Coolidge and MacArthur for Freaky Tales. And when it appeared on screen at his Grand Lake premiere, it elicited gasps and cheers from the audience. I think you remember when we saw this at Panic Fest and it showed up and I gasped.
Yes.
Because we hadn't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. You can also see, so in a quick cut to Lake Merritt as Sleepy is on his way to go kill the Nazis, you see the lit up Mormon temple.
Yeah.
It's in East Oakland. And notably, Mormons excluded black members from the priesthood ordinances until 1978. So I think it was kind of interesting that that would have been a feature in the 80s. It is still there. It ends up in the backdrop of most things filmed in Oakland because it's so big.
Yeah.
So the Oakland Coliseum also ends up in this movie for the Psytopics commercials. Now, the Oakland Coliseum is kind of in a weird spot because it used to be where the Raiders would play and a bunch of other, and the A's would play too, but now both of those teams have moved away. And there has been kind of a debate about what to do with the Coliseum. It is now the home of the Oakland Roots, which is our soccer team, because Oakland now has a soccer team. So recently there was like a big celebration to be like, hey, come back to the Coliseum. Let's celebrate a team from here that didn't leave. So that is why it appears here. However, in this, it's specifically for Psytopics. And Ryan Fleck has said that Psytopics was based on, quote, these weird spiritual centers that were all over the Bay Area in the 80s. Again, cosign, agree. And he goes on to say, quote, I just remember lo-fi commercials selling you this kind of spiritual wish fulfillment on television. And he said that the Oakland Arena next door can be seen in certain scenes as well. Now, we do see Operation Ivy depicted in this movie playing two songs in Freaky Tales. It is not them, but they did have say in who got to portray them. So their guitarist Lint has a cameo, and then the members of Operation Ivy got to approve them using the LA band Aphids to portray them in the movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sweet Jimmy's, where Too Short and Danger Zone perform. It was the place to be in Oakland in the 80s and 90s. Comedian Lunel is famous for performing there quite a bit. It was huge because they would do music and comedy and a bunch of other stuff, but they didn't host rap shows till 1987.
Okay.
So David Sweets Ward, who's the son of the owner of Sweet Jimmy's, who was Sweet Jimmy Ward, said that his dad was opposed to profanity in rap. However, MC Hammer recorded a music video at the club in 1988, but Hammer never swore. That was like a huge thing.
It was, yeah.
Saturday nights at Sweet Jimmy's were broadcast live on Soul Beat, so kids could stay home and watch their parents on TV partying in real time. Soul Beat was like a public access channel.
That's awesome.
The club closed, unfortunately, in 2006. Now, Too Short narrates this movie and is an executive producer. And His nearly 10-minute song from 1987 provides the movie's title, but he's portrayed in the movie by the rapper Simba, who looks so much like him.
Yeah.
But he came onto KQED in the forum, so this is the site that's providing these fun facts, to discuss the film and his cameo. They reference a number of other bands. Tina wears basically Bay Area band shirts the whole time. Tower of Power is referenced. And all of the artists on that like Bay playlist cassette are people who were in the Bay playing at the time. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. And sadly, there's not a lot of information about box office because it didn't really get much of a release, unfortunately.
But that's also part of why we wanted to do this episode, right? Because we knew that this movie was not going to get the reach that it deserves for how fun it is. And so, we want you guys to watch it.
I don't know why, but it seems like the people who were distributing the movie didn't have all that much faith in it, sadly.
Yeah.
Because it's great, but they only released it to 393 theaters during its opening weekend. And of course, it wasn't in theaters very long.
Yeah.
I tried to go see this in theaters again when it was here, and it was only in one theater for one weekend, and I wasn't in town. So I couldn't go see it the next weekend because it was already out. It did bring in around 400,000 in theaters, but that was pretty much it. And I don't even have the budget for it because that wasn't released, although it is shot like on location in Oakland. I would not be shocked if a lot of actors, I doubt they paid Tom Hanks what he can normally command for even a guest spot in a movie.
No, I think he did it for free if memory serves from them talking after Panic Fest. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Playtone was involved, so that would make sense. But I would guess the budget for this was at least $10 million, even if people were doing it for way less than they could normally do it for. But because it's shot on location in Oakland, they didn't shoot this somewhere else and try and pass it off as Oakland.
Yeah.
And it's got to be expensive to shoot there.
It is expensive to shoot there. And this has been a thing that I don't know, if you follow me on Instagram, maybe I'm annoying you with this, and that's fine. I don't care. We have been trying to get tax subsidies for filming in Oakland.
Yeah.
So if you film in Nashville or in Atlanta or even in Los Angeles, the city will give you tax cuts to incentivize you to film there. I don't have time to give a TED talk on why Trump's fucking tariffs on film are fucking stupid. But this is why, this is the better alternative to what he's doing, which is to incentivize people to basically film in places by making it a tax trade-off. So recently, but after this movie was made, Oakland did approve tax subsidies and are now kind of working through what that program looks like.
Nice.
But at the time, it was not there. So my hope is that in the future, it is a lot more cost effective to shoot in Oakland and the surrounding areas so that you can depict those places as they look, as opposed to trying to make LA look like Oakland, which is normally what people do.
Yeah, but that's kind of your box office because there's not much to it, unfortunately. But I really hope people find this movie and it sells a lot on Amazon Prime where I bought it today.
Yeah. Or other there's a bunch of places to buy it. Buy it wherever, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, anywhere.
Rent it wherever.
Yeah.
Don't steal it. Don't steal it from people.
Yeah, just buy it.
Pay for these people. But this is one of those things where this movie is so fun and it's not going to get the attention it deserves, which is a bummer. And this is why when I rant about movies that do get a big budget and do get big marketing and do have the studio machine behind it not being good, because I'm yo, having your story make sense is baseline and you have all the advantages that these other films don't. So for this one, we wanted to just take a chance to let you guys in on a movie that we think you should watch, that Panic Fest screened, that we liked a lot and is a hometown movie for me.
It really is awesome. But Paige, do you want to hit us with that scary scale?
Yes, our scary scale is the scale of how scary we found this film on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being Ghostbusters, 10 being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Todd.
It's a 1. It's not scary at all.
It's a 1.
There is some gore, which it's fun gore, but there is. That's it.
Yes.
And it's a lot of it's stylized. It's very you said it earlier. It's very Scott Pilgrim.
Very Scott Pilgrim. In the first vignette is very Scott Pilgrim. I feel like the middle vignette's a little more Pulp Fiction. The final vignette is Kill Bill a little bit.
It is more Kill Bill, yeah, for sure.
Or just, kung fu movies, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's your scary scale.
Well, Paige, this week you made us watch A Freaky Tales. What are you making us watch next week?
We're going to find a way to do Sinners as soon as we can.
Yes.
Because we want y'all to be able to see it. And I've seen it. Todd hasn't had a chance to see it.
I want to see the top grossing horror movie ever.
Yeah, of course, right? But we asked y'all on some previous episodes if you think we should cover T2, and the response was overwhelmingly, please fucking cover T2.
It wasn't even overwhelmingly. I didn't see anyone who was like, actually, it's not really a horror movie. Oh, did you?
I saw one, but that one was like, honestly, I consider it more of an action movie, but fuck yeah, please cover T2.
Oh, well, that's not a no. That's a yes. That's a yes, Paige. That's honestly an honest yes.
Yes.
It's like a yeah, probably not, but it's a great, you guys should do it.
Please do it.
Yeah.
So yes, our next week's movie will be Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, of course, I've seen this movie. I love it. It's the best.
Yes.
That's your homework for next week.
Todd, do you have any reviews for us?
I do. So this week, I'm going to read a Spotify comment off of our most recent episode, and that episode being Pet Sematary 2. And I'm going to read King Spearman because they said, oh, by the way, before I read what King Spearman says, there were probably about 60% of the comments were like either just T2 with a bunch of exclamation points after it, or just people like, you have to do T2.
Sure.
I'm not reading every one of those because there's a lot of them, but I'll read King Spearman 19 who said, watching this movie with your dog laying on the couch next to you just hits different.
Oh,
and
no.
I agree. That would be hard for me.
It'd be rough.
But if you want to be like King Spearman and have me read your Spotify comment or 5-star Apple review, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear Paige and I talk about romantic comedies or just regular romantic movies, check out our other podcast, some might call it a sister podcast, called Romancing the Pod, where we do just that weekly. It's a lot like this show, but for romance and romantic comedies, because Paige doesn't like them. So we make her watch them, just like you guys make me watch horror over here. But if you want to follow me, I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social media. Paige is at Rampage Wesley on Instagram?
Yes, and TikTok.
And just Paige Wesley on Twitter, because you got that before some CEO lady, and she wanted it, but you wouldn't give it back, and I respect you for that.
Refuse.
Also, Paige
Suck it, other Paige Wesley.
Paige is also on another podcast. It's great. You should check it out. It's called Cult Podcast with Armando Torres, who is a wonderful person. And if you want to support this show, go to Patreon at patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where there are a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. We do the Patreon shout outs at the beginning of every episode. We do listener requests, stuff like that, bonus episodes. So you'll be getting all of that content, plus episodes a day early with no ads, and who doesn't love that? So sign up for the Patreon and get a lot of great stuff.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it oogie spooky.
Yeah. Have an amazing week, guys. Bye! Sleepy Floyd is Superman nerds.